It begins almost imperceptibly, like the faint sound of music drifting from a far-off place. You're going about your life, keeping to your routines, when suddenly there's this gentle hum inside you, not a rush of adrenaline, not a nervous tremble, something far quieter, far deeper. A restlessness, yes, but wrapped in peace. It's as though your spirit knows a door is about to open, even if your eyes can't yet see it. It's not the kind of restlessness that makes you pace the floor or check your phone every 5 minutes. It's a still restlessness. It lives somewhere in the marrow of your being, in that place where you don't often put words, and yet, if you listen, it says, be ready. It's a strange paradox, calm yet alert, content yet expectant, as if the air around you has shifted and you're quietly aware that something or someone is moving toward you from the horizon. You see, when God begins aligning you with someone, he doesn't usually announce it with trumpets or flashing signs. Instead, he tunes your inner life like a musician bringing an instrument into harmony. There's a resonance that wasn't there before. The notes of your heart feel warmer, richer, and you find yourself leaning into life with a little more openness. You're not trying to make something happen. You're simply aware that something is already happening. This is where a lot of people get it wrong. They think alignment is about action, about searching harder, doing more, swiping, scanning the crowd for the one. But divine pairing doesn't begin with a hunt. It begins with a readiness. It's the difference between chasing after the wind and standing still to let the wind carry you exactly where you need to go. In this space, your spirit becomes like a harbor awaiting a ship. The waters are calm, but the air carries the scent of something approaching. You don't know the shape of it yet, the colors, the details, but you know enough to prepare your heart. And the beautiful thing, you don't prepare in panic, you prepare in peace. There's no frantic need to rearrange your entire life overnight, only a steady clearing away of the unnecessary, as though you instinctively know space must be made. And perhaps the most telling sign is this: you begin to notice your trust deepening. Trust in God's timing, trust in his choice, trust in the quiet process happening behind the veil. You realize you're not alone in this anticipation. You're part of a larger orchestration, and someone else is conducting the music. Your role isn't to rush the tempo, but to keep your heart in tune. It's easy to confuse peace with passivity, but this is no idle waiting. It's an active kind of peace, one that sharpens your awareness and heightens your sensitivity to the little nudges of the spirit. A word here, a moment there, a conversation you didn't expect, a thought that lingers long after the moment has passed. Every small thing becomes a thread, and though you can't yet see the full tapestry, you sense that each thread matters. You may even find yourself smiling more, not because circumstances have radically changed, but because something within you has. The smile comes from a place of knowing, not knowledge you can prove or defend, but a certainty that defies explanation. It's the kind of knowing that makes no sense to the mind, but feels undeniable to the soul. And here's the wonder of it. You don't need to figure it out. The mind will try. It will ask, who is it? When will they come? How will I meet them? But the heart, under God's gentle hand, will simply rest in the assurance that the one who holds time holds this too. So you live your days with a quiet readiness. You keep showing up, you keep growing, you keep listening, because when God is aligning you with someone, you don't have to force the meeting. You just have to be awake when it happens. And when it does, you'll look back on this season and realize that the restlessness you felt wasn't a sign of lack. It was the first ripple of the wave that was always coming for you. Something changes in you when God begins moving you toward the person He's prepared for you. It's subtle at first, but unmistakable. Desires you once held onto so tightly begin to loosen their grip. Things that used to draw you in, the temporary thrills, the shallow connections, no longer feel satisfying. You find yourself uninterested in relationships that only touch the surface of who you are. It's as if the appetite of your heart has shifted, and now you crave something more nourishing, more eternal. It's not about suddenly becoming cold or detached. It's about growing into a different kind of longing. You no longer want someone who simply looks the part or says the right things. You want someone whose presence resonates with your soul. You begin to see that love is not about filling a void, but about joining your journey with someone whose spirit aligns with your purpose. And once you taste and it's not only about who you say yes to, it's about who you're willing to say no to. This can be the hardest part, because sometimes the almost right shows up before the right one does. They may even tick many of the boxes, but something deep in you says, this is not it. But it's tempting to ignore that voice, to convince yourself you're just being picky. But in truth, that inner nudge is God protecting you from settling, and you realize that this shift in desire isn't just romantic. It touches every part of your life. You start craving friendships that encourage your growth, environments that inspire your faith, conversations that carry substance. The shallow no longer holds you because the deep has begun to call you. This is the work of preparation. God shaping the soil of your heart so that when the right seed is planted, it can flourish without being choked by weeds. Some people will misunderstand this change. They might say you've become too selective, too serious, maybe even too hard to please. But this isn't about being hard to please. It's about knowing what pleases God. And when you know that, you refuse to dilute it just to soothe someone else's discomfort. This is where patience becomes your closest ally. Because once your desires have shifted, you can't manufacture what you're waiting for. You can't go back to entertaining what no longer feeds you. You learn to live with the space that this clarity creates, trusting that God isn't just emptying your hands, He's making room for what truly belongs there. In time, you begin to see that this transformation of your desires is not a loss. It's a gift. You no longer feel pulled toward what drains you, but drawn toward what builds you. And when the person God is aligning you with arrives, you will recognize them not because they fit a checklist, but because they fit the shape of the heart God has been crafting within you. Well, when your desires change, it's not a sign you're missing out. It's proof you're finally ready. There are moments in life when you simply know something without being able to explain it. It's not logic. It's not deduction. It's a quiet certainty that settles into your bones. When God is aligning you with someone, this is often how it begins. You won't have all the answers. You won't be able to show proof. but somewhere deep inside, you'll carry a sense of recognition before the meeting even happens. It's a strange thing because from the outside, nothing looks different. Your days go on as usual. Your routines unfold just as they always have. But inwardly, something feels shifted. There's a current running beneath the surface of your life. It's not loud or frantic. It's steady, like the hum of electricity you can't see, but you know is there. This isn't about fantasy or wishful thinking. Wishful thinking tries to force a picture into focus. This is different. This is an assurance that arrives without your effort, without your imagination pushing it along. It feels like it comes from somewhere beyond you. And it often shows up when you least expect it, when you've stopped trying to figure it all out. You may find that certain thoughts keep returning, uninvited but welcome, a sense that something is already in motion, already set in place, and you're simply walking toward it. It's not a loud declaration from heaven. It's more like a whisper that doesn't fade no matter how many times you get distracted. And deep down, you know you can trust it. That inner confirmation doesn't ask you to go searching for signs. It becomes the sign. It gives you the freedom to move through your days without the constant anxiety of wondering if you're in the right place or on the right path. It reassures you that somehow you are exactly where you need to be and that what's meant for you will not pass you by. Of course, your mind will still try to interrogate this feeling. It will want to know who, when, where, and how. It will try to measure the timing, to predict the outcome, to demand visible evidence. But the beauty of this inner knowing is that it invites you to release that need for control. You don't have to convince yourself anymore. You don't have to run in circles gathering proof. You can rest in the awareness that God's hand is already in the details, and the more you lean into this quiet confidence, the more it begins to influence the way you live. You stop rushing. You stop comparing your journey to everyone else's. You stop panicking about the clock. You start living with an openness because you're no longer trying to force the door open. You're simply waiting for the right key to turn. It's almost like watching a sunrise. You can't make the sun come up any faster, but you can be present to witness it when it does. And when it happens, you'll realize it was never about controlling the moment. It was about being ready for it. That's what this inner confirmation does. It makes you ready without making you restless. And here's the thing. This kind of knowing doesn't mean you have every step mapped out. In fact, it often comes with more mystery than clarity, but it carries peace with it. And peace is always a stronger proof than certainty. So you learn to trust the feeling even when the evidence is hidden. You learn to walk as though you already know the meeting is coming, because in a sense you do. You may not know the hour, but you know the author. And when the moment arrives, when the connection unfolds in front of you, you won't be surprised. You'll just smile because your spirit will recognize what your mind could never fully comprehend. You'll know it's them because deep down, you've known all along. When God is aligning you with someone, the journey isn't just about them, it's about you. Before he brings the right person into your life, he often leads you into a season where the focus is on your own becoming, not because you're unworthy as you are, but because love that lasts requires a depth and steadiness that can only come from growth. And growth, as you know, isn't always comfortable. This is where he begins to quietly refine you. You start noticing patterns that once went unquestioned: impatience, fear, the need to control, now being brought into the light. The very situations that frustrate you become the very tools that shape you. It's almost as if God is less concerned with giving you the perfect match and more concerned with making you the kind of person who can nurture, protect, and cherish that match once it arrives. It's in these seasons that your faith begins to deepen in ways you didn't think possible. You learn patience, not just the ability to wait, but the grace to wait well. You will learn that the pause is not a punishment, it's preparation. You start to realize that the qualities you do desire in another person, kindness, resilience, integrity, are the very qualities he is building in you right now. This growth isn't always visible to others, and sometimes it doesn't even feel visible to you, but it's there in the way you respond to challenges with a little more calm than before, in the way you let go of things you once clung to, in the way your prayers shift from asking God to send the right person to asking him to make you ready for them. And it's not only your character he's working on, he's shaping your heart too. He's teaching you to love without fear, to forgive without keeping score, to care without the constant need for reassurance. He's stretching your capacity to give, because love, real love, will ask for more than convenience. It will ask for sacrifice. Sometimes in this season, you'll find yourself pulled into situations that seem unrelated to relationships at all. Career changes, relocations, friendships that challenge your thinking, but nothing is wasted here. Every experience, every lesson, every stretch of faith is part of the preparation. You're not being delayed, you're being equipped, and along the way, you start to notice something beautiful. You begin to like who you're becoming, and not in a prideful way, but in a way that makes you grateful. You see yourself handling things differently, speaking more gently, standing more firmly, trusting more fully. You begin to realize that the pairing process is not just about finding the one, it's about becoming the one. It's easy to overlook this part because it doesn't feel as exciting as meeting someone. But the truth is that the version of you that will stand beside that person is being built right now. Every unseen moment of growth is an act of love for a relationship that hasn't yet begun. You're investing in the future without even knowing the full shape of it. And one day, you're standing beside them, you'll see why it mattered. You'll recognize the patience that allows you to listen deeply, the strength that helps you weather storms together, the grace that turns misunderstandings into deeper understanding. You'll realize these weren't just traits you picked up. They were foundations laid in the quiet seasons of your life. So if you find yourself in a time of stretching, refining, and preparation, don't despise it. Lean into it, because this is not wasted time. It's sacred time. The person God is aligning you with deserves the best of you, and so do you. And when the day comes, you'll be able to stand in that love not as someone who stumbled into it, but as someone who was shaped for it. Life has a way of surprising us, often through disruptions we don't expect and don't immediately understand. When God is aligning you with someone, these interruptions aren't accidents or setbacks. They are divine course corrections. You might find doors closing abruptly, plans unraveling, or people stepping out of your life without warning. It can feel confusing, even painful. But underneath those disruptions lies a greater purpose, a gentle clearing of the way for what is meant to be. Imagine you're walking along a path in a dense forest. You might come across fallen branches or thick underbrush that slow you down or force you to take a detour. At first, it might feel frustrating. Why'd the path just be clear, you ask? But what if those obstacles they're there to protect you? What if they prevent you from heading in the wrong direction or from meeting someone who isn't truly meant for you? In the pairing process, God's hand is often invisible, but unmistakably active. He is redirecting your steps, sometimes through disappointment or loss, so that you don't settle for less than what He has prepared. What seems like rejection is often redirection, an invitation to trust that the closed door is a signpost, not a dead end. You may look back and realize that what you thought was a failure was actually a blessing in disguise. A person who didn't show up, the relationship that didn't last, the opportunity that slipped away, each was part of the divine pruning process. God is clearing away the distractions, the wrong fits, and the temporary to make space for the permanent. This kind of divine disruption challenges your faith in the moment. It tests your patience and your trust. It tempts you to question the timing, to wonder if you're really on the right path. But this is where surrender becomes crucial, not a surrender of hope, but a surrender of control. You learn to release the need to understand every twist and turn, and to believe that even the confusing detours are part of a perfect design. The more you embrace this truth, the more you begin to see disruptions as invitations to growth rather than obstacles to happiness. They become moments that teach you resilience, teach you grace, teach you to lean deeper into God's promises rather than your own plans. You discover that your peace isn't dependent on circumstances lining up, but on a deeper trust in the one who holds all things together. And here's the paradox. Sometimes the more the path seems to be falling apart, the more it is actually coming together. The disruptions shake loose the false hopes, the quick fixes, and the easy outs so that what remains is strong, stable, and true. It's like the sculptor who chips away the rough stone to reveal the masterpiece within. In this process, you might find yourself letting go of people who once meant a great deal to you, not because you stopped caring, but because God is protecting you from what isn't right. You release relationships that no longer serve the destiny God has for you, making room for the ones that will. This clearing is often accompanied by a quiet reassurance deep in your soul, a reminder that God's plan is unfolding even when your vision is limited. You begin to learn patience in a new way, not as waiting passively, but as waiting actively with faith and expectation. So when life's unexpected turns come, and they will, don't see them as punishments or signs of failure. Instead, See them as God's way of guiding you closer to the one who is meant for you. Trust that each closed door is a doorway opening somewhere else. Because in the end, the path God is clearing for you leads not just to someone who fits your life, but to someone who fits your soul. And that is a journey worth every twist and turn. Before the gift arrives, your heart begins to sing a quiet song of gratitude. It is a gratitude not tied to what you see or hold in your hands, but to what you sense unfolding in the unseen. This is a gratitude that arises from trust in a divine timing that never misses its mark, trust in a love that is already working in your life long before you can name it or touch it. There is something profoundly transformative about thanking God in advance. It shifts the landscape of your heart. Instead of dwelling in lack or longing, you dwell in abundance. Instead of asking, where are you? You say, thank you for coming. This simple shift invites peace to settle over the waiting, turning what could be an anxious void into a fertile field of hope. When you cultivate this kind of gratitude, your perspective changes. You begin to see the signs and small miracles around you, not as random acts, but as gentle confirmations of the alignment that is taking place. A timely word from a friend, a song that lifts your spirit, a moment of unexpected joy, all become threads weaving together the fabric of a story much bigger than yourself. A gratitude before the arrival is also a profound act of faith. It says, I believe that what is meant for me is already on its way. Even if I cannot yet see it, it frees you from the tyranny of impatience and fear. It allows you to rest in the quiet confidence that God's promises are not empty words, but living realities. In this season, you start to love differently, not out of need or desperation, but from a place of wholeness. You love yourself, imperfect though you may be. You love your journey with all its twists and turns, and you love God for the unfolding mystery of it all. This love becomes a foundation, steady and unshakable, ready to welcome the arrival of someone who will walk beside you in grace and truth. This gratitude also softens your heart to receive. When you're thankful in advance, you are not grasping or clutching at what you want. You are opening your hands, your heart, and your life. You are creating space for the unexpected beauty that God will bring. And when that someone comes, it is not because you demanded them, but because you invited them with open arms and a grateful spirit. And the wonder of it is this gratitude has a way of attracting what it celebrates. The more you live in thankfulness, the more your life reflects the joy and peace of the love that is coming. Your energy shifts. You become a beacon, not because you try harder, but because you shine brighter from within. It's important to remember that this isn't about pretending everything is perfect or rushing to be happy before the moment arrives. And it's about embracing the present with grace, knowing that your future is secure. You walk forward with a lightness in your step because you carry a quiet song of thanks in your soul. And when the day finally arrives, and it will, you won't have to wonder if it was worth the wait. You'll know it. And not because of fireworks or grand declarations, but because your heart will feel at home. You'll recognize the harmony between two lives that have been shaped by patience, faith, and gratitude. So keep your heart open and your spirit thankful, even in the waiting, because gratitude is the soil from which the richest love grows. And love, when it finally blooms, will find you ready